Under the leadership of Mayor Tecklenburg and my husband Luther Reynolds and the Charleston Police Department men and women, we live in an incredibly safe city.
Neighborhood policing, cutting-edge forensics, the best paid and trained police force, and some of the lowest crime rates in the entire state.
If my husband was here today, here's what he'd tell you. You're not going to find a better man to run this city, to accomplish what he's accomplished, and to continue with the projects he's been doing than Mayor John Tecklenburg.
It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, it's a special Showtime early edition of the Geno Jones Show. Of course, we are in an election season. As a matter of fact, early voting began here in South Carolina. I think about 3 weeks or so ago, 4 weeks ago, maybe 4
One day a week ago.
Yeah, today is November 1st. So you heard a voice. You'll see who that voice is in just about 30 seconds doing a very special edition of the Geno Jones Show. This is a prelude to what you're going to see next Monday. It'll be Meet the Candidates. It's going to be a Meet the Candidates marathon. So we have various candidates that's running for mayor of the city of North Charleston, the city of Charleston, and some other races here in our area. It's election day. It's going to be election day all across America, and it's early voting all across America. So you've heard me say this so many times. These elections are it's a choice between your freedom and your oppression. Now, you might think I'm being hyperbolic. Just go watch my monologue from yesterday, all right? You've got people that's got projects, Project 2025, different organizations, Moms for Liberty, Moms for Anything But Liberty, taking over school boards. There's something called the Project 2025, and I told you about that yesterday. So go back and watch that monologue, because these elections, they really are. They're not even about personalities and not so much about public policy. It is, but it's bigger than that. It's going to come down to those who want to continue and expand your freedoms and those that want to oppress you and your family and your children and grandchildren and take those freedoms away. And if you are a woman, or if there's a woman in your life, women are already losing their reproductive freedoms. That is just the beginning, because they're not going to stop there. So you need to understand that. So go back and watch last night's episode. That monologue was fire. So I'm doing a very special edition of the Geno Jones Show early, and at 6:30 I'll do my regular show. But I was so honored to have my guest once again. We have two huge mayoral elections next Tuesday. Well, like I said, the early voting has already started. The city of North Charleston, and then in the city of Charleston, the incumbent mayor is running again for another term. Full disclosure, he's a friend of the show. I've had the honor of knowing this man since he's been in office. I've been here since 2005. A good man, and I'm not going to waste any time. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you. He needs no introduction. You saw his campaign ad at the beginning of the show. But for those who don't know, the Honorable Mayor John Tecklenburg of the city of Charleston. Thank you, Mayor Tecklenburg. It really is an honor to have you on the show. I really appreciate you coming on, and this really means a lot to my viewers, to our community and culture here in the Low Country. So I want to thank you for that. So first of all, I know you're a busy man, so I'm not going to waste any of your time. So let's do it like this.
Yeah.
I am not trying to impersonate Lester Holt or Don Lemon or anybody like that. I am an entertainer by trade, and I do a variety show. I tell people, think of the Tonight Show, that same format, without the live audience for now, with a funnier, smarter, better-looking host. I tell you, just think about that. That's the format of the show. So I want us to act like we're going to take a trip to some barber shops in West Ashley or down on
Okay.
the east side. And we're just going to walk in, and, you know, barbershops are a great place for conversation and discussion and debate, and in all cultures, especially in our community and our culture. And I'm just going to like ask you some of the things that folks have asked me, you know, being in the barbershop and in the hair salons. I guess the first, it's the obvious question. Why do you want to be reelected?
Well, first, Geno, thank you for having me on the show. I am sorry I missed your On Fire show last night. I got to go back and pick that one up now.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I got to check that out, and let's talk about that school board next, maybe, because
Yes.
I'm going to follow right back up on you on that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I wanted to ask, but I guess the obvious one, they'll say, okay, so, you know, why should we vote for you again, or why are you running for office, more important?
Yeah. So, boy, am I trained up for this job now. I've been serving as your mayor for the last 8 years, and it's really an honor for me, but it's such a great thing to be able to help people every day. That's from my heart. And we are built a service organization, the city of Charleston, 1,800 employees serving our citizens, protecting our citizens, acting as guardians for our citizens. And I've got so much good stuff going on right now, Geno. If we talk about drainage and flooding improvements, I think that's a real important issue for our city, being a coastal city, and what we've seen in the world with climate change and sea level rise. And that's one topic I could frankly go on for the whole show about, but I won't. But I'll just say briefly that we've got over 30 projects underway right now, over $100 million of infrastructure investment that we're engaged in that's going to help protect our city and manage this flooding that we've seen for years. This kind of stuff, y'all, doesn't happen overnight. It takes really planning, expertise, permitting, design, engineering, finding the money to do it. So we've got so many good things happening there. Again, I could go on for quite some time. Affordable housing, maybe I'll wait till you.
No. Listen, you would be a great executive producer. So you kind of led me into my next subject. Like I said, we're in the barbershop, and I get that a lot.
Yeah.
People are worried about housing. They can't afford housing. They may have elderly parents or grandparents that live in West Ashley or maybe downtown or the east side, and they're worried about gentrification, or just worried about not being able to afford to live there, or maybe they got a son or daughter or grandchild that's about to graduate from college, and they want to come back home, but they're like, oh, I don't know if there are going to be any opportunities for me as a young person, and if there is, will I be able to afford to live back home in Charleston? So I'm going to let you address that.
So let's be real about this thing. It's at a crisis level in the Charleston metro region. It's not just the city of Charleston.
Yes.
It's our whole area. And what has happened, just by way of a little explanation, its supply and demand has gotten out of whack, where we had such a demand with folks moving to the low country and coastal South Carolina that it's driven prices up. There's more people wanting housing product than there's product available. You know, we've had, we're one of the biggest states in the nation for people retiring and moving here. We're the #1 metro area in the country for retiring veterans.
Mayor, let me just jump in and ask you something, but to piggyback on the whole affordable housing, what is the number? Because I heard it was like some amazing number of like new residents moving to the city or to the state, like every day, every week, every
day.
month?
It's around 35 a day is the estimate. So
you just do the math. Wow.
That's every day. Do the math, and the market hasn't been able to keep up with that many housing units. So, I got to tell you, in a state where you're not allowed by the state legislature to do any kind of rent controls or any kind of what we call inclusionary zoning, where we can, as a city, require you as a builder to build affordable housing, the state legislature does not allow us to do that in South Carolina. So the city has to do every kind of creative thing it can to create more affordable housing. And Geno, let me tell you, the city of Charleston is doing more than anybody else. Is it enough? No, it's not enough. We need all hands on deck. We need employers, we need the school district, we need big companies like Boeing to be thinking about building housing for their employees. It's at that level. But in the meantime, the city of Charleston has invested over $50 million in just the last few years, creating hundreds of units, and we have hundreds more in the pipeline. We are doing everything we can to build more units, to enable other people to build more units. We're cutting the red tape to make it easier to get approvals. We're creating incentives for density and even working with the county government to create a property tax incentive for those who will build bona fide affordable housing. Now, when I talk about affordable housing, I'm not just talking about for low income, although we include those as well. Mostly for working people, Geno, working families, teachers, nurses, police officers, firefighters, everyday middle income, average Americans working here are having a hard time affording a place to live. And so we're putting all these tools in the toolbox and doing everything that we can to create more affordable housing. We're going to really focus, Geno, along with the city of North Charleston, on the transit corridor that's coming in a few years, the Low Country Rapid Transit, because it's that combination of costs, housing and transportation, that can really bite your family budget.
Yes.
And but where we have that new Low Country Rapid Transit line, we're going to incentivize housing within a certain distance of the transit stations. And they call that TOD, transit-oriented development, to try to create more affordable housing close where people can walk to get on public transit.
So that's a great idea. So let me ask you, there are two parts I want to kind of go back so the viewers really get it. So now this transportation line, is it going to be like a rapid transit line? I grew up in Chicago. They have the L, they have the subway, they've got the red line that goes up and down the Dan Ryan, I-94, we call it the Dan Ryan, and they have one line that goes up and down 290, I-290. So is it going to be, the line, is it going to go down the street? Is it going to be down 26? What is that going to look like?
So it's going to start at the fairgrounds up in Ladson.
Okay.
Where we have a large parking area so people will be able to park and ride. And then it will go down 78 to Rivers Avenue, all the way down 52 to the city of Charleston, come down Meeting to Calhoun, and then end up in the medical district. This is just the first of a regional system, but that's where most of the traffic is coming up and down the I-26.
So is that going to be like a rapid transit line, or is it going to be a bus line, or what?
So it's not going to be on rail.
Okay.
It's going to be what they call bus rapid transit. It'll be an articulated bus, like a double bus.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Most of the route will have dedicated lanes. So only that bus will go on it, not other cars and trucks. And here's the other thing. Each bus will be equipped with a sensor communicating with the traffic lights. So this bus will always get the green light. And so even
that's pretty cool.
Even during rush hour traffic, they're estimating the travel time from the fairgrounds to the medical university would be about 28 minutes. A lot of people will spend an hour and a half or more doing that same
coming from Ladson or Somerville on I-26. Some days it could take 2 hours to get there.
That's right. So this is an important component of affordability, and having, admittedly, a lot of this future development could occur in North Charleston, up and down the Avenue corridor, because that's where most of the stops will be. There'll be about 6 stops in the city of Charleston, and we'll focus on those stops as well. So then later on, you'll add other branches to this system, but it travels the most frequent route, and it ends in the medical district, which is the highest employment per acre of any place in the state of South Carolina.
Wow.
Is that combination of the Medical University, Veterans Hospital, and Roper. Even though they're moving, they'll be near another stop when they relocate. But anyway, servicing all those employees, there's 26,000 employees there, and clients too, right? That need to go to MUSC and the Veterans Hospital.
Oh my God! And not to mention the College of Charleston down. So that's just a lot of traffic down there. Wow.
Yeah.
So what's the estimated time of completion? What are we looking at? 3, 4?
So we've gotten the first $90 million from the federal government to finish the design and engineering. They got to figure out by right of way, everything like that. So that's going to take another 2 or 3 years, but there's enough money to complete all that. And then to construct it, I hate to admit it, but they tell me now that the completion of construction isn't estimated for till 2028, but it's on the way.
Okay, all right. Now let me go back to the affordable housing. You mentioned that the city. So do I understand? I want to make sure the viewers understand. Did the city purchase homes or do like a develop it yourselves and you build some homes, or you're building homes, affordable homes for people? Just help me understand that.
So what we often do, Geno, is partner with other developers.
Gotcha.
A lot of times we'll own a property or buy a property, and then we'll put that in the deal and put out a request for proposal for a partnership with a private builder. Could be a nonprofit developer or for-profit. But the city maintains ownership of the land, so that 50 years from now, when the lease is done with the developer, the city will still own the land and the building, and to perpetuate. So one of the fallacies of the past, if I may say, and all good intentions, but they just weren't thinking long term. They put these programs in place for developers, and they build affordable units, and they would only be good for 20 years. Well, that sounded good at the time, but 20 years goes by like that, right?
Yes.
And so everything that I've been trying to do with affordable housing is with permanent restrictions and covenants and ownership by the city, so that it doesn't go away. So we always maintain those affordable units, and even can add to them. Another big thing we're doing, Geno, is partnering with our housing authority. And they're one of the biggest property owners in the city of Charleston. And we're embarking on a redevelopment to add 2 and 3 times the number of units that are on the properties of the Charleston Housing Authority. They're a separate group from the city, but we're connected at the hip a little bit legally, and the city council appoints their board. So we have a partnership with them, but a lot of their units, Geno, I think are worn out and tired and need to be replaced. So while we're replacing them with something new, let's add some more units, since they have pretty good real estate, right? And so the goal is to go from 1,400 units to at least double that amount. I think we can get over 3,000 by the time we go through their entire inventory of units.
Is there a plan the city has for residents that have been, because there's so much heritage here, and so many families that have been here for a couple hundred years, elderly family members that have been living in communities and homes. Is there a plan to work with them to make sure that they're not displaced?
Yes, absolutely. So for the housing authority plan, what they're going to do is build some excess units so that they'll have some available inventory. So if you were living, say, in Cooper River Manor, and we're getting ready to redevelop that block, that we would have a unit for you somewhere else in their system where you could relocate, we build the new units, and then you would have the option of either staying where you relocated if you liked it, or you could move back to the new units that were built where you were before.
Okay.
So the commitment is that no one in housing authority properties would be, they might be relocated for a period of time. You can't avoid that if you're going to tear something down and rebuild new.
Yes.
But that they would be, in essence, guaranteed a place to stay and a return to the original property if they so desire.
And that's in writing. The city already, that's in writing. So those people will be protected, because, you know, a lot of times, you know, elderly family members can be taken advantage of. So I'm sure you guys have kind of thought about all that, right?
We have, absolutely. So the problem with gentrification, where people, as you use the expression, get pushed out, is when they rent primarily. Because you own your own property, boy, don't sell it. Stay where you are. And some people make a decision, oh, I can make a lot of money selling my property, and that's a private decision that they make. Where we really have problems is with rental properties. Where they've been renting a house for a long time. You've seen what happened with the supply and demand.
Yes.
Property values have gone through the roof, and that's good if you own the property. But if you're only a renter, then your landlord, he wants to jack up the rent, right?
Yes.
And the city has no ability. We don't have rent controls in South Carolina. I can't pass a city law that tells you can't raise your rent.
Wow, because the state won't let you. I'm glad you shared that with us. I had no idea that the state does it. That's a whole nother story. So
that's a whole nother strong story. We're a state that has very strong property rights, but New York, you can do rent control. So that's a whole nother system. We don't have that here. So it's just by way of explanation. Some people aren't aware of that, and I like to share that with them.
But you've created, like I said, you created a program to where you can kind of be creative in terms of making sure that rents and homes are affordable for people, you know, who've been living in these communities.
That's a goal. Do we need more units? Yeah, but I'll tell you a little testimony I had a few weeks ago. This young lady came up to me out of nowhere. I was at a public meeting. She put her arms around me, squeezed me. Thank you, Mayor. I was like, what did I do? She said, I used to live on the other side of Somerville, and it took me sometimes up to 2 hours to get to work, and as much going back. Normally an hour and a half, but sometimes even more. And she said, I was able to buy one of the home ownership units on the east side that the city recently built. We had 8 units there built off of America Street. She and her husband, they're both in the hospitality business, probably very moderate income. They work at restaurants. They now can either walk or ride their bike to work from where they live. They work on Upper King Street. And she said, you don't know what a difference that made to our quality of life. And we will be good citizens in your city, Mayor. And I'm convinced they will be.
That is great. All right. So I want to segue to this whole situation with the school board, because I know you probably got to run. I appreciate your time. So
yes, sir.
Here's my concern, Mayor. I want to share a very short story, but this ties directly into what I see happening and what other people see happening with not just the Charleston County School Board, other school boards here in the region and nationwide.
It's a nationwide thing.
This issue of book banning really, really sets me off and triggers me. Now, let me tell you why. When I was a kid, I went to a school, elementary school in Chicago on the south side, from K to 8. So we didn't have like a elementary and middle. You were in the same school from kindergarten to 8th grade. So I believe either in the 4th or 5th grade, I learned about the Holocaust. And when I read and heard the stories, I was horrified. And I felt horrible because I said, how could people be so evil? Why would they do something like that? Now, why am I sharing that story? Because that tapped into a sense of empathy, compassion, and humanity. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you ban books, you're not even giving young people the opportunity to learn about some of the horrible things that's happened to other people and other cultures, because there's so many historical examples, even here in America. I mean, we can't heal and really be the best nation and a more perfect union if we can't identify. We have to be honest about the history, because if we're not honest about it, and if we don't learn from the mistakes, we are doomed and damned to repeat those mistakes. So there's been a lot going on with the school board and Moms with Liberty, and I know there's something that's concerned you. So I just, the few minutes you got left with me, I'm giving you the floor, and I'm going to let you address that situation any way you want to.
So this group, the Moms for Liberty, they basically have taken over the school board. And if you like what you see, the way they're running the school board, watch out, because they're coming for City Hall next. They've recommended candidates in Mount Pleasant city council races, in City of Charleston council races, and even the mayor's race, recommending one of my opponents. And they're not. It became clear over the last couple of months with what has unfolded on the Charleston County School District Board that they were not transparent. They weren't open to the public. They were involved in things like book banning and all concerned about critical race theory. They're concerned about, they're providing answers for problems that don't even exist.
Right, because critical race theory doesn't exist. It's only a theory that's taught in law school. So it's never been taught ever any elementary school or high school or even undergrad. It's not even taught in undergrad. It's a grad school class theory, but I digress.
So they need to do their job and focus on educating our kids and being open-minded about it. That's how you gain an education, right, over time.
Yes.
But instead, they've been narrowly focused on these issues that, in essence, only divide people and only they're not productive. They're just making political points, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're looking to do the same in local government as well.
Yes.
In city races this next week. So I stood up with the other two main mayors in the region and said, we want you to be transparent. We want you to do your job and focus on educating our kids. And we ask that you, when you make an important decision, like hiring or firing a superintendent, that you have a 2/3 vote, a 2/3 majority to make that decision. We put that upon ourselves on city government sometimes in important cases, just to build trust and consensus in our community, given what's happened. So I think the legislature maybe didn't think it all the way out when they set up the governance and the elections for these school boards. They should at least have a majority requirement to win an election rather than a plurality. That word is always hard for me to say.
Plurality, yeah. Say that 3 times fast. I know.
That's the same thing that's the situation in North Charleston, by the way. I'm not, they got to make their own rules up there.
Right.
But I believe if you make a majority requirement, that you ensure that a majority of the citizens in that district actually prefer that candidate.
Yes.
And then in that circumstance, if whoever wins, so be it. But plurality.
Plurality. I got you. Yes, that word, plurality.
So everybody, please come out and vote next Tuesday in the city elections. Look at the candidates. Of course, I respectfully would be honored by your support. We're working on so many things. We talked about a couple of them here today, the flooding and the drainage. I can talk about that more. The housing, policing is a big topic, making sure everybody remains safe. We've dedicated a lot of resources. We've increased the budget every year for our police and our fire department. We have the best paid police officers. We're 100% staff right now, Geno, in our fire department. But here's the other component of that's happened since I've been mayor. And we did conduct a racial bias audit of how our police department was engaging with its citizens. And yes, we had some things to work on. And we identified 72 different, to-do items that the police department can work on. And they've been doing all of them. Now, some of them require continual review and improvement and monitoring. And we're doing that. And I believe we've built a culture, Geno, of being respectful to all our citizens. We do have to enforce the law. You break the law, we're going to try to arrest you. That's their job, right? And you do something to try to harm another citizen, we're going to try to stop you and we're going to try to arrest you. That's our job. But we can do it in a respectful fashion and involve our community even more. So there's been a real focus, and God bless his soul. I miss my dear friend, Chief Luther Reynolds.
Yeah.
But I appointed and council approved, and today we officially swore in Chief Cheeto Walker as our new police chief, a new era of guardianship, but of being respectful for all of our citizens and engaged with the community, being a part of the community, not separate from the community, but policing and fire protection should, in my view, be a part and parcel of our community. That's how we live and prosper peacefully and enjoy opportunities. So that's the other thing, Geno. I could keep going. Excuse me 1 second, though.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm running a little hoarse.
So, I'm going to save your voice. First of all, I want to thank you so much. I'm honored to have you take time out of your busy schedule and campaign, because you got two jobs. You're still mayor. You got to do all your mayoral duties, and you're running a re-election campaign. So I appreciate this time. It's precious. Next Monday, meet the candidates marathon. So you are invited to come back. I'll get with your team. We'll pick a time to work for you sometime between maybe 4:30 and maybe 6 o'clock, or maybe after 7 o'clock, where you can come on and make your final pitch to the voters. Once again, you can let everybody know where they can, if they want to support the campaign, volunteer, or learn more about what your plans are in your next upcoming term. If you win, you want to give everybody that information where they can go on social media and follow you.
Teckformayor.com, TECKFOR mayor.com, teckformayor.com. Check us out.
Short and sweet. Put it where the ghosts can get it. Make it real simple.
That's right.
Mayor John Tecklenburg, the Honorable Mayor John Tecklenburg, thank you so much. I'm honored. Thank you for thinking enough of my viewers, our community, and Black-owned media to take some time to address some of the concerns, some of the questions that people asked me when I heard you were coming on. They were like, man, make sure you ask the mayor this and that. So, but next Monday, if you can come back on next Monday, they'll be able to ask in my chat room. They can ask whatever questions they have, and cool. I'll relay the questions that the viewers have. Thank you, Mayor Tecklenburg. God bless you.
Thank you, Geno. Enjoyed to be with you. God bless.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Good man. All right. There you go. So next Monday, don't forget, everybody, is a Meet the Candidates Marathon. So I'm pretty sure Mayor Tecklenburg, he will be on. We've already got confirmed times for former Police Chief Reggie Burgess, who's running to be the mayor of the city of North Charleston, and Clay Middleton, who is running to be mayor of the city of Charleston, will be on at 6. Former police chief Reggie Burgess, running to be mayor of the city of North Charleston, will be on live at 6:30 right here. So this was a special edition of the Geno Jones Show. I will be back at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, my normal start time, with another edition of the Geno Jones Show. This is a special edition of the Geno Jones Show with my guest, Mayor John Tecklenburg of the city of North Charleston. Thank you to Mayor Tecklenburg, to Sandy Tecklenburg, his lovely wife, and his team, Jennifer and Josh, and everybody on the team. Thank you so much. I'll see you live. If you're watching me live right now, I will see you right back here, the Geno Jones Show, the regular edition, coming up at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching.
Under the leadership of Mayor Tecklenburg and my husband Luther Reynolds and the Charleston Police Department men and women, we live in an incredibly safe city.
Neighborhood policing, cutting-edge forensics, the best paid and trained police force, and some of the lowest crime rates in the entire state.
If my husband was here today, here's what he'd tell you. You're not going to find a better man to run this city, to accomplish what he's accomplished, and to continue with the projects he's been doing than Mayor John Tecklenburg.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.